안녕하세요. 텍스함의 핵심을 알려준 토크아이티 세미남 고성 PD입니다. 오늘 세미남에서는 어떻게 하면 AI를 통해서 우리 자신의 성장을 가속화시킬 수 있는 것인지에 대해서 생각하는 시간을 가져보려 합니다. 스웨덴에서 고등학교를 중퇴하고 생성형 AI 채팅으로만 AI, 수학, 그리고 코딩까지 독학해서 20대 중반에 오픈AI AI 연구원이 된 가브리엘 페테르슨의 얘기를 듣다 보면 무언가 AI 네이티브한 학습 방법이 있다는 것이 느껴집니다. 단순히 프롬프트 잘하는 거 말고요. 우리는 지금까지 늘 기초부터 차근차근 쌓아야 한다고 배워왔는데, 하지만 가브리엘 페테르슨은 정반대의 길을 택합니다. 문제에서 출발해서 아래로 파고들며 필요한 지식을 끌어올리는 하향식 학습법. 버그를 고치고 질문을 던지고 다시 깊이 내려가면서 기초는 저절로 따라오는 것이죠. AI 시대, 이제는 이렇게 문제를 먼저 만져보는 사람이 가장 빨리 성장하는 건 아닐까요?
The way I think people learn the fastest is by what you would call like a top-down approach, right? You'll probably learn faster if you start with a problem, and then you can read about everything required to start solving the problem, and then you find more problems and you read about those, and then you go down to like the core of the problem, right? So you start with the actual task and you go down. But that's extremely rare way to learn. Like in school, everyone has this mindset, right, of like, okay, we need to start with the foundations. We need to start, like, if you want to work with machine learning, like you can forget about doing any machine learning for the first like 4 years, right? It's like math, and then you have like matrix multiplications, you have linear algebra, and you have all these things that build up, and then you have the simpler ML that's like super outdated. You have like, you know, linear regression, all these things that are still used partly, but it's like, it will take you a very long time until you get to like production grade ML. Why is this? Well, it's extremely hard to scale the top-down approach, because that requires like a teacher always being there for you. It requires you being able to know exactly what piece of thing you need to learn at any point of time. Well, if you do bottom-up, you know, okay, first you always learn this, and then you always learn this, and it's much easier to scale, but it's extremely inefficient. And now with ChatGPT, all this changes. Like this will change. People say education will change all the time, but I can barely take universities seriously that don't teach ChatGPT as a part of their curriculum. It's like actually insane that this is not like a course that's taught from like 2 years old. Like suddenly foundational knowledge, universities don't have like a monopoly on foundational knowledge anymore. You can just get any foundational knowledge from ChatGPT. And people haven't really internalized how top-down problem solving works. They will always tell you things, you know, like, oh, but you'll never actually understand the problem. You'll never actually blah, blah, blah. And this is not true. You start with a problem, you recursively go down. Like if I want to learn machine learning, I ask ChatGPT, okay, what project should I do? Write the project for me. I have bugs, I start fixing the bugs, and then things work. And from there, I start with a specific part of the machine learning problem. Like, okay, what happens here? Can you explain to me with intuition why this module here makes the model learn? And it will explain to you, and then you say, oh, it uses matrix multiplication and linear algebra. You know, okay, how do they work? Yeah. What's the math intuition behind this? Like, show me, like, make up a couple of graphs to really make me get an intuition for this part of ML. And then suddenly you have all the foundational knowledge. Like, it doesn't need to go bottom up anymore.
Yeah.
And this shift will I think this shift will like fundamentally change how education is done. And you just continue to ask the model constantly until you really understand. And when you understand, you can just tell the model, okay, this is my understanding of this. Is this completely correct? And then you'll also start learning about all these like small tricks you can do, right? Like explain this concept like I'm 12 years old. That one is really good. It will start like super easily. Like imagine you're in a bookstore and you can imagine the embeddings being the different books in the store. And then you can imagine, you know, all this, and it will connect everything that has to do with AI to like real world concepts, which makes it really easy to reason about for someone like me.
가브리엘은 지식의 빈틈을 찾고 아하가 오는 순간까지 파고드는 것을 강조합니다. AI에게 더 정확히, 더 직접적으로 설명을 요구하고 코드의 중간 과정까지 드러내며 학습을 재구성하는 방식입니다. 이렇게 딱 떨어지는 순간 늘 얼마나 자주 만들 수 있는가, 그게 바로 AI 시대 학습자의 새로운 지표가 되는 것 같습니다.
The skill that's required here is knowing what gaps you have in your knowledge. Like say you have an AI model or like whatever else you want to learn, and understanding when you don't really understand a part. It's actually pretty hard to do. Like it's something you need to train up and practice on yourself. Like, wait a second, do I really understand this part? And then, so that's one signal you need. The second signal is when you start asking questions, you need to have a real strong signal for when it clicks. When you're like, there it clicked.
Yeah.
I can just understand like fundamentally why this thing is as it is.
How would someone else learn how to learn with AI?
This is a very good question. I mean, first of all, just change like the misconception of AI being used to do the work for you to instead, use the AI to explicitly help you learn. Like you don't just use it to get work done. You actually learn from it. I mean, the moment you just switch that mindset, which seems still fairly uncommon, but is becoming more and more common all the time, you have most of the things to get there, right? And then to become really good. First of all, like I said, like know when you have gaps in your knowledge, understand what it feels like when you fundamentally grasp something, and you constantly come up with all these hacks. Like you'll notice ChatGPT will respond in a fairly standard way, and your way of learning is probably not exactly what it responds like, because it wants to make sure everyone has a good experience.
Yep.
But you probably want it to respond in another way. I very often tell it, for example, be extremely direct and concrete. Always show me all the intermediate states and the shapes of the code you produce. Make sure to make sure I have like a really intuitive understanding of why it happens. And if you're unsure, make sure you show me options and like what others have tried and why this works and why something else didn't work. And you start becoming good at like asking these questions that give you the aha moment. Like as fast as possible, you want to get to the aha moment.
Yeah.
Like the first time you understood linear algebra, or the first time you understood why backpropagation works, you probably had a very clear like, oh wow, it finally clicked. And to chase these clicks and to make them appear like as frequent as possible, right? That's like kind of your utility function.
면접에서 스펙을 늘어놓는 시대는 끝났습니다. 가브리엘 강조하는 건 단 하나. 내가 직접 만들었다는 증거. 누가 봐도 한눈에 이해되고 3초 만에 이 사람 제대로 만들었네 라는 느낌을 주는 데모. 이 단순한 증명이 학력보다 강하고 말보다 빠르게 고등학교 중퇴자인 가브리엘을 증명한 것입니다.
The number one thing I recommend to people is making a demo that is super simple. It's actually really hard to make a good demo for a lot of reasons. Everyone thinks it's hard because they need to make a demo that is hard and they don't have the skills. This is very not true. You can make very simple, like you don't need that much code knowledge to make a really cool demo. The hard part of making a demo is making sure that people understand why you can code within 3 seconds. You have like 100 applicants for something. If you apply with one link and they press the link and you have one shot, right? Like making sure you build a really cool demo where people understand what they're looking at, which is really hard, and where people understand that you're a really good engineer, which is really hard, but then you're there. I mean, that's all they want to see. I mean, companies just want to make money. You show them how to make money, that you can code, and they'll hire you. And then you might say, oh, but they only hire people with degrees. Well, yeah, because literally no one has ever showed them that they can do their work. They're like, oh, I had these internships. And the interviewer would be like, okay, what did you do there? Oh, I streamlined pipelines and made things 30% more efficient. And the interviewer like, okay, well, that tells me literally nothing. Okay, what else? What have you done? Oh, I went to Harvard, I have the best grades. Well, I still don't know if you can do the job, right? Oh, but I have all this extracurricular. I was a debate champion. They start going on about all these things that parents will tell you, people around you will tell you. Yeah. Nothing matters.
이 세미남의 원본인 시글 웬 유튜브 채널의 영어 원본 영상은 우측 상단에 카드 링크를 클릭하시면 보실 수 있습니다. 여러분 회사에 신제품이나 서비스 관련 컨텐츠 마케팅이나 웨비나를 진행하는 데 관심이 있으시면 여기 있는 우측 상단에 카드 링크를 클릭하셔서 관련 토크아이티 서비스를 보실 수 있고, 관련 문의는 여기 메일이나 전화로 하실 수 있습니다. 테크 전문 채널 토크아이티에서는 AI 관련 다양한 전문가들과 언제든지 상담하고 소통할 수 있는 구해줘 AI라는 공간이 있습니다. 구글에서 한글로 토크아이티 치시거나 우측 상단에 링크를 클릭하시면 됩니다. 여러분의 좋아요와 구독은 콘텐츠 제작에 큰 힘이 됩니다.